Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Kingdom of God Ministries. We're so glad you could join us. And happy Resurrection Day to all of you out there in our uh, t- uh, audience. Hoping that you're having a fulfilling religious activity.
Amen.
Well, the reason I was hesitant because some people don't celebrate it. Okay,
Well,
so we just want to keep it real. Anyway, but we just got back on from our vacation, celebrating 49 years of marriage. We were in the um, beautiful islands of the
Panama.
Panama. We got to see the Panama Canal. I know a lot of people ask us, well, how is it in Panama? It's beautiful. So, pretty much it's a developed country like anywhere else. We stayed at a beautiful resort, took some beautiful pictures that we will be sharing with you in the coming weeks ahead. So, tonight we are continuing our discussion on the dating game. And don't forget, get a copy of your book, our new book, Building Godly and Mature Relationships. And we put in here uh, the little
Love
excerpt.
conquers all.
Okay?
All right. So, in this episode, we're going to just be talking about basically the dating game. We're going to get into it and try to cover some things. Now, in this particular chapter, we're not going to prolong it, but we're going to try to get into this in such a way that's going to be beneficial to everyone listening. Now, there's a difference between mutual relationships and mutual agreement, trust, and dating isn't the same.
Yeah.
For some, casual dating is not mutual. The ideal of exclusivity, while with someone may differ, it might differ. Some people like to exclusively date each other, while others like to date other people and don't want to be committed to just one person.
That's
So
true.
we're going to deal with that a little bit today. Now, as we said before, in our book, we're going to showcase the dating game. And the reason we call it the dating game is because of the things that I just mentioned in this description of relationships and dating. It's two
Mm-hmm.
different things.
Right.
Now, when you're talking about dating, uh, you have a specific goal in mind. Most of the time, when people are dating, they're looking for a real relationship,
Mm-hmm.
real commitment. They are tired of just somewhat playing around. They're getting serious about some things.
Right.
Now, in some cases, as we said before, some people date just to play around. There are other people that date for a more serious reason, somebody that they can be compatible to, somebody they're thinking of long term relationships. So that's what we're going to be talking about on
Okay.
today.
And this is an excerpt out of the book. Before getting married, we talked about some of the flags last week. Some of the flags you want to watch out for. Sometimes the flags is there, but you just want to ignore the flags. But it says before getting married, there is an important step that needs to be taken. Okay, we need to get to know the person before we make the important decision. And just like my husband said, and by the way, he is a ordained elder. But before getting married, and we have performed marriage ceremonies as well. What you want to make sure is is the person that you're in the dating game with. Do they really want a commitment? Because if they don't want a commitment, you're really wasting your time. Now, let's say, for instance, if you want a commitment, but the person don't. Well, this is something that should be put on the straight up, straightforward. What do you want out of a relationship? Well, I just want a one night stand, or I just want to have fun. If they say that, then maybe, and you want commitment, maybe that may not be the person for you. Now, there is some instances where the person say, well, I just want to have fun, and it could end up in a serious relationship, but I wouldn't guarantee that because 9 times out of 10, if he or she tell you I'm not ready for marriage, 9 times out of 10 they're not ready for marriage. Okay, But it said we need to get to know the person before we make the important decision of settling down with them. I'm not talking about shacking. I said settling down. You're looking for a lifetime commitment. This is what you have to look for. We need to know their likes and their dislikes, their preferences, their feelings, and most importantly, who they are. Um, we have a little excerpts later on in the book where it say people wear masks, just like you see on Hollywood. What you see in Hollywood is actors.
Yes.
They get paid to act, but that is not their real life. They are paid to look glamorous all the time. You don't see them behind the scenes when they don't have the makeup on, or Mr. Beautiful when he has airbrushed his face. You don't see that. A lot of times, even the relationships, they change relationships over and over and over. Don't look at them and think that they have it made. That is acting. The word acting means hypocrite,
Yeah.
because you see what one thing, but they live another thing. Okay? And I see so many people, oh, I want to be like this actor or that actress. Honey, that's just the Photoshop.
Yeah.
Okay? Lot 9 times out of 10, when you're dating, that person gonna put on the best face, the best personality. That's why it's good to get to know that person, and then you'll see the little key things coming out. If they're selfish, if they're controlling, if they're manipulative. See, these are signs. Watch the signs. Are we saying you're going to have a perfect person? No. Because what you were saying, if you committed and you have some kind of commonality there, you'll be able to grow together.
Yes.
But you want to make sure the foundational values are there. And I'm not saying everybody got to be in the church, but at least they know something about. Say, for instance, if you're a believer or you're a Christian, why would you want to date somebody who don't even want to know God, who
At
have
all.
no desire whatsoever? Your idea is to think, well, maybe if I get saved, I could save him. You're playing Russian
Yeah,
roulette,
that's
because nine
dangerous.
times out of 10, you're not going to change him or her.
And
Okay?
anyway, in any relationship, you're not getting in a relationship to change anyone
No,
anyway.
no, 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 no.
When you meet someone, you must get involved with them for them.
Right.
You can't change anyone. The only one that can change anybody is the Lord. Now, the Lord can change anybody at any time, but we can't.
Right.
So if you get in a relationship and you see different flaws, different things that you can't deal with, you shouldn't go into that relationship saying, well, I'm going to change. And when I get him or her, that person is going to stop doing that. I'm going to change that. I'm going to control that person.
That's not
That
good,
control is the same as witchcraft.
because you're like a puppet.
And what happens whenever you try to control somebody, what do? They
Yeah.
rebel against that.
Right. And like with Pinocchio, and
Yeah.
we know that's a fairy tale, but how the controller would control Pinocchio, and at one point he did. He wanted to get out of that. He was tired of being controlled. He
Yes.
wanted to become a real boy or
Yeah.
girl. This is all we're saying. When you're controlling people, now there's a element that you have to be careful, because you could get caught up in something that you don't want to be in.
That's right.
Okay? I wanted to read this. We live in a time, this is part of the book. We live in a time where people idolize the ideal of being in love more than love itself.
Yes.
You've created all these fantasies in your mind, what you think this relationship will be like, how he's or she is always going to be beautiful, even waking up in the morning beautiful, no makeup. And hey, if you got it like that, God bless you, but I do need a little help now and then. But all I'm saying, you want that character inwardly. You want to see how that person really interact with you,
Yes.
interact with your parents, interact with your family. Okay? I've seen all too many times people get in relationships and it can be a disaster
Yes, a
because that,
disaster from the beginning. Right?
and you see it.
Mm-hmm.
You know it's gonna be a, and if he Jared put his hands on you or she put her hands on you, now it goes both ways. We've seen some tragic situations in both instances. You should not be in that relationship.
Yes.
Okay? And you can go on.
Well, to be truthful about the whole thing is, we have wise individuals in our family uh, that share some things with us, saying that you should get with somebody that's just about like you.
No, I like it.
You
The
know,
same,
they have some of the
common ground.
some common ground, some of the same characteristics. I
yeah.
mean, if you are a type of person that's not in the fast lane, then you might not want to hook up with somebody that's in the fast lane,
Right.
because you're not you're not the one to want to go fast all the time. You have
Not
some
all the
people that
time.
they just want to go.
Right,
They just
right.
excitement. Now, if you're not that kind of person, then you shouldn't seek out that kind of person, because you're going to wind up. Now you'll do it for a little while, but since that is not really you that's going to wear you
It'll
out.
burn you out.
It'll burn you
know.
out.
And this is what we say. The first thing I would like to address to you is to take your time.
That's right.
And I see a lot of women, come on, women, because I'm speaking, you're so impatient to get married. So the first person come to you, you don't check them out. You just say, you what I say, you created the fantasies, and men too. You created these fantasies in your mind how you want it to be, and you don't search out that person. You don't take your time to get to know that person. The first thing I would like to address is for you to take your time, because a mate should be a lifetime commitment. Now we know it don't happen nowadays. Okay, people tell us, we went on the resort and we did like a wedding anniversary, pictures and everything, and they were amazed because they asked, say, how long y'all been married? And we said 49 years, and some of them almost they couldn't believe it, because they say, oh, that's old school marriage. Why do it have to be old school? Why don't you say, this commitment that we made, these vows before God, is going to be a lifetime?
Yes.
Why do everything have to be old school? You can make it new school.
Yes.
Okay? Um, take your time. Don't rush into decisions, because you need to be careful. I see so many times people rush into marriage, 3 months, 5 months up, and I tell people right now, if you come to me or pastor here, and you want some advice, we're gonna ask you, did you see the warning signs? Well, he said this, he said that, but did you see the warning signs?
And they're there.
Yeah, yeah. And we're not telling you everybody is perfect. Well, Jesus was the Son of God, and he had a devil among them of his disciples.
Yeah.
But all we're saying is, when you know what you want, don't lower your standards just to have somebody.
That's true.
You know?
And that goes both ways.
Right.
That goes both ways. See, the thing about all of this is you have to consider the long term. Now,
That's true.
If you're, I'll say this: if you're not serious about a long term relationship, that should be put out there 1st.
Mm-hmm.
That should be put out there first. Okay, I like you, you like me, but I have no intention of long term. I have no intention of marriage right now.
Right.
If you want to just be friends or something like that,
Right.
then that's what we'll
fine.
do.
Yeah.
See, that way you're not getting yourself into a bad situation, because you both know what you plan on doing.
Right.
You see.
And it's like, you need to ask yourself questions like this. Is this the person I want to be with 5 years from now? Well, if you can't stand them now, how you think you're going to stand him or her 5 years from now? You know? Ask yourself these questions. Is this the person I want to be around 10 years from now or 20 years from now? These are serious questions. It don't hurt to do some self-observation within yourself. What do I really want to be with this person?
Hmm.
Or is it just a fantasy, or is it more lust? I couldn't see myself with this person. He just, something about him just irritate me. Something about her irritate me.
Well, one thing I would like to say in reference to this, now we are talking about the dating game, or
Mm-hmm.
we used to call it courting or whatnot. But you're basically, sometimes people are
Yeah.
looking for a particular individual, and some people are just playing around.
Yeah.
Now, in that regard of the dating game, we realize that both of those terms are involved.
Right.
But you want to be careful in that, because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you can be hurt.
That's true.
Now, a lot of times, a person get hurt to the extent that then they'll go to the wrong person anyway, and then they're stuck with that wrong person because they don't see the signs, or they've been hurt so bad that when somebody that is really for them comes around, they think they're going to get hurt again.
And I know you might be thinking that with all the cautions we're telling you, when life doesn't always grant us opportunities of a lifetime, we know that. We're not naive. We don't try to pretend to be naive. And we don't tell you to look the other way when it comes to such matters. Like we said, abuse and things like that. Things happen.
Mhm.
We're not telling you to stay in that. You shouldn't. But before, if you get out of a abusive relationship, or I tell people, even getting out of a divorce, you need some therapy.
You need therapy
Hmm.
and you need time. Because,
Yeah.
see, here's the thing about all that. When you get involved with people, believe it or not, a portion of that person that you were involved with is still
Soul
lingering
ties.
with
Yeah.
you. Now,
Yeah.
they call it soul ties,
Yeah.
but it's still a part of that person that's lingering with you.
Right.
And if you don't
Get delivered.
get no, if you don't get delivered from that, if you don't give yourself time, you'll take that other person
Mm-hmm.
into this other
Mm-hmm.
relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
when you do that, you are somewhat condemning this new relationship,
Already.
because you're already thinking about this other person, this
Yeah.
other man or this
Yeah.
other woman.
Or
Well,
comparing them. Yeah.
you comparing them. Oh, well, that one did this, and he looks like he's getting ready to do
Right.
this.
Right.
So
So you can't.
I'm gonna jump to the
Right.
I'm gonna jump to the front of this
Right.
thing and try to stop it. Then this person may not have he might not have anything to do with that other person.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a totally different person, but that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and anybody that's hurt has to have time to heal. If
Right.
you cut yourself, you don't just walk around with no bandage on that cut and act like it's not there. Because if you act like it's not there, it's going to get infected and it's going to get worse. So you have to give it time to heal. Any hurt has to have time to totally heal.
And I would say this: if you're just getting out of a relationship or a marriage, like my husband say, give yourself time to heal. And on another note, don't move in with somebody. Have your own.
Yes.
Be independent. And to those who may have left a marriage with children, don't rush in getting a boyfriend. Wait, because a lot of times you are a girlfriend. Well, I'm lonely. That's a lot of times, if you haven't had time to heal, you're just going to get a repeat of what you just had.
That's true.
And then people say, well, why I keep getting the same man? Why I keep getting the same woman? Because you are still carrying remnants of that person that is putting out some kind of radar to attract that type of person.
And that's right. And that is the type of person that you are attracted to.
Right.
So you need to figure out why you are attracted to these kinds of people.
Right. And I would like to say, broaden your horizon. If you dating, or you thinking about dating, don't just put it in your little bubble. I in my little neighborhood, maybe I'll meet somebody. Sometimes you have to get out of your perimeters to find that person. We've had stories where people met overseas on boats in Panama. A couple met in Panama, went there on a vacation, end up finding somebody they wanted to be with.
Yes.
So this is what all we're saying. You'll meet people in many different areas. Don't just limit yourself to one in church.
Yes.
No, if you're a church person, might not be in church. They don't have to be in church to have good godly morals. Okay? Because we've seen people in church, they just go to church.
that is true.
Right.
Well, one thing I would like to add in this particular conversation is the person that is for you is for you.
That's true.
Now, many times people don't recognize that person, and so they miss them.
Right.
But a lot of times, if that person is for you,
he
or she is for you,
right.
and everything will work out perfectly. Mm-hmm. So you really don't have to just go after and super seek out this person, because a lot of times you won't even be looking for this individual.
Right.
Many times that's the case.
Right.
You won't be looking for this individual. You'll be minding your own business. You won't be thinking about anything like this. And this person will just come up. Y'all will come together, have a conversation, maybe go off for dinner or something. Then next thing you know, y'all are in love.
And this is what I say. We're not telling you to have a whole laundry list of what you want, what you don't want. I would say this, though. You can make a list of some of the most valuable characteristics of that person.
Yes.
Okay?
To you.
To you, exactly. For me, he had to be a gentleman. He had to be about his business, meaning he had a job. I don't care what kind of job he was working, okay? He was intelligent. He could hold a conversation. And and he enjoyed doing things with me. He liked to be around me. When he was around me, his eyes weren't gazing over there at somebody else. Okay? And number one, I should have put, he loved God. The man, when I met him, he was at church. So, like I said, everybody may not meet their partner at church, but that's what was important for me.
Yes,
okay?
and it's different with different individuals, but the one of the main things that should be involved in a situation like this of the dating game, that you all have an attraction for each other. Mm-hmm. You have you completely respect each other,
right.
And you don't want to hurt each other. Well, you have each other's best interests at heart.
Right.
So that's what should be looked at. Now, many times if one of those things are out of order, you will have some problems, because that means there's something within that person that he or she is holding on to that they don't let go. Mm-hmm. And if you try to force that thing, you'll have a problem. You have a situation.
Yeah. So we're just gonna recap and then next week we're gonna move on to, after you say, well, we want to be with this person. No, we want to take it to the next level. Okay. And that will be called With This Ring I Be Wed.
Yes.
And it's going to be talk about some serious things, because we got married. We were really young.
Yeah.
People said, well, some people said it wasn't going to work, and we were determined to make it work. And that's why I say sometimes you might not have a lot of support, but you can be together in your decision.
Well, see, one thing about a real relationship, and one thing about a marriage or anything, a real relationship or a marriage, is you and that other person. All right. You shouldn't let other people dictate or come in between you and that person that you say you have a relationship with. And you can't believe everything everybody else says about the person that you are in relationship with, or when it gets into the fiance stage, or when you get ready to get married, or even after you're married.
Right.
You shouldn't go off of hearsay in reference to your relationship. Now that's what has destroyed many a relationship, is other people speaking and then you listening to it.
Ungodly counsel. That's what the Bible call it.
You know.
Ungodly counsel.
Cool.
And sometimes people can speak negative
Mhm.
because they're jealous
Yeah.
of your relationship.
And they're unhappy with
And
your
they're-
happiness.
Right.
You have people out there that they're really
Right.
unhappy with your happiness.
That's true. That's true. So be careful who you allow to feed information into you. There's
That's right.
good information and there's bad information. So let's recap. The first thing we said is do your investigative stage. Watch, pray. You know, you can ask God, is this your best for me?
Mhm.
Is this the person you want for me?
Mhm.
And if you get that confirmation in your spirit, I didn't say lust confirmation, I said the confirmation. Then you go on, take it to the next step. But
Yes.
watch for the flags.
Yes.
Is there any flag?
Yeah.
But you set some boundaries, and this is what too often people don't do. They don't set boundaries.
Mhm.
If you want to stay committed without sleeping with this person, and you have godly boundaries, then don't sleep with that person.
That's
but if
right.
that person is trying to force you to sleep with him or her, then maybe you need to walk away.
Mhm.
Get somebody that is respectable of your boundaries.
That's both.
Okay?
That's both male and female.
Male and females. Because now in this day and time, they say, well, we don't know if we compatible unless we have sex.
And that's
so lame.
No,
You know.
not only is it lame, it's deceiving.
Yeah.
Because you can't gauge a person. You can't tell what a person is like. You don't know what's in a person's heart and mind.
Well, look at Samson.
Yeah,
He was in love with that prostitute.
well, he
3
thought he
times.
was.
Well,
He thought he was. He thought he was anyway, and he found out that he wasn't.
I mean, she was out for his detriment, and the Lord told him, so you could have had any of the women in your own that believed like you.
Yeah.
And he knew she was the temple prostitute.
Yeah.
But she was dolled up. She was pretty. Her main objective was to take down that man of God.
That's right.
So we have to be careful.
And any strong man.
Yeah.
And it goes both ways.
Right,
You have women who are out to take down strong men,
and
you
versa.
have men that are in it to take down strong men
and mess up your good name.
Yeah, and that's all it's about.
You know.
So you have to be careful in that regard.
Be
That's
careful. And all we just saying is just watch, pray, seek wise counsel. And we're apologetic if the video is kind of, because
The lighting is strange, but we'll fix it.
It's on and off, but we're going to work on that too. But hey, we're glad you could join us. We don't want to keep you long, but just be sure to tune in every Sunday. Don't forget your book.
Building godly and mature relationship. Love conquers all.
We'll see you next Sunday. Be blessed.